recently I was watching a YouTube video from another financial planner, and he was sharing the story of a family that he works with that has $3 million. And while he admitted that that puts people in the upper 0.1%, as he did the planning for that family, he shared that things did not look good based on their scenarios and what this family wanted to do. You know, they were going to run out of money in 30 years, and this was a younger couple. They were not 50 years old yet. And so I wanted to talk about this because while his math is correct, you know, one of the things that I think was missing, and I'm a fan of all the YouTubers out there that are trying to provide information and assistance for people. So please don't take this as a knock. It's just there's different folks that have different approaches. So first off, if you've got $3 million, again, top 0.1%, you know, the question is, what kind of retirement can I have and have the security that I'm never gonna run out of money? And then you ask yourself, then that's the trade-off. And I think most of us would look at that and say, boy, I would love to be in that situation. For somebody that's not 50 yet, that says that they want to retire early, for that couple to continue to work longer just to have more certainty that they're not going to run out of money, you know, I think for a lot of people that's a mistake. I mean, this family wasn't like wanting to fly around in private jets and buy a yacht and things like that. From the talk of the video, it sounded like, you know, a nice retirement, but not a crazy nice retirement. And there, I think it really comes down to what are the trade-offs that you're willing to do. And, you know, if you do the 4% rule on $3 million, that gives you $120,000 a year from your investments. And that's before Social Security kicks in. So, you know, the 4% rule, if you say, in this couple's case, they wanted almost $200,000 a year. So yes, that's more than the 4% rule, but they also had very nice Social Security coming in to the tune of almost $80,000 a year. So once they started taking Social Security, they wanted to spend $15,000. I said $200,000, but it was $15,000 a month. So that's $180,000. And if you take their Social Security coming in, and excuse the noise here, there's this nice little fountain here. If you take their Social Security coming in, they really, once that starts, they really only needed $100,000 a year outside of Social Security. So could you take 6% out of a $3 million portfolio until you start taking Social Security and then cut it back to a little over 3%? You know, you'd have to run the numbers, but that passes what I call the sniff test. That sounds like it just might work, right? And you don't want it to sound like it just might work. You want to know. And again, this couple was the husband was close to 50, the wife was a little younger than 50. And so you've got to run the math, you've got to look at the numbers, and really, really importantly, if you're an American citizen, if you don't have public health care, you also have to look at how are you going to get your health care insurance? How are you going to make sure that you're not putting your family in jeopardy there, because it's just a reality of life. And, you know, unfortunately, it's expensive. But I want to share with you that getting health care insurance is very doable. It's expensive. It's not what we're used to doing. We've got it from our employer. But you can get health care insurance. So if that's the situation, I have to tell you, it's probably not the number one reason people tell me they don't retire, but I'd be shocked if it's not number two. It would at least be tied for the second biggest reason. And, you know, it would be a shame to not retire if that's important to you, if you've made a lot of great decisions, if you've saved up your money, if you're close to being able to make the numbers work. Like in this case, they're in the top 0.1%. If they cannot retire, who can? And that's why I wanted to make this video, not to knock another advisor, because that's not my style, but I think it's important for you to understand what the trade-offs are and get into the math and see, you know, are the trade-offs okay? And, you know, one of the reasons the 4% rule exists is you don't know if you're going to get hit by sequence of return risk, meaning that the market's going to do poorly in the first couple years of your retirement when you have the most money in the stock market. So, but you know what? After your first 5 years, you're going to know whether you were hit with that. So, could you do 6% in the first couple years until Social Security kicks in, and then do 3 to 4%? You know, I think there's a better than 50-50 chance, probably closer to 60% chance. This is not financial advice, but these are the things that your financial advisor can help you with. Remember, the 4% rule was designed where, you know, in 97% of the cases, you never run out of money. It does what's called a Monte Carlo simulation. And let's say it takes, you know, 1,000 hypothetical lives, and, you know, in 990 of those, or, you know, 970 of those 1,000 cases, you never run out of money in the first 30 years. But you know what? In over half of those cases, if you had $3 million, you're probably dying with $10 million or more. And it'd be a shame to look back at that and say, you know, I could have retired 5 years earlier. I could have retired and taken advantage of the youth of my senior years. But I didn't do it because my financial advisor, you know, said that he didn't have 100% certainty of running out of money. Well, no kidding. None of us have 100% certainty, right? We don't know when we're going to pass away, fortunately. We don't even know what tax rates are going to be, you know, 12 months from now, let alone a decade from now. We don't know what inflation's going to be. So, you know, I think to sacrifice something that's important to you to gain something that is much less important to you, I think for a lot of folks, they would take that trade-off and say, you know what, you know, we told our financial planner we wanted $180,000 a year, but you know, if we had to, we could probably squeak by on $150,000 a year. And let's retire now. Let's take advantage of the youth of our senior years. In this YouTuber's case, his client had a young child still at home. And you know, if you have a young child, imagine the cultural experiences you could give them if you wanted to travel, if you wanted to do something like that. And it'd be a shame to not be able to provide that for your kid. Now, the vast majority of us never get to do that. And in fact, you know, I'm here on vacation today, and I love learning about new cultures. So most of us don't get to be raised that way. But if you're fortunate enough to maybe think about giving your kid that experience, it'd be a shame to not do that. Because an advisor was uber conservative and guilty as charged. You know, I've been a fee-only financial advisor for over 20 years. We do want to be conservative. We want to give our clients as much clarity as we can, as much confidence as we can. But we also have to talk to our clients about the trade-offs involved. So I saw that video. I wanted to share with you. If you're in that case, you know, fewer than 10% of people retire with over $1 million in investments. And if you're in that situation, the short answer is yes, you can retire, but it's a matter of what that retirement looks like. Now, this is not financial advice. I don't know your situation, but if you want to see another video that I think can be super helpful for you, this video here talks about 8 things to stop doing as we're approaching retirement age to enjoy the journey more. I know you're going to love the video, and thanks for watching this one. Bye-bye.